y'all doing today? I'm Shelia Edwards, and I welcome you on back into my Boozin Food Kitchen. How you doing? I hope that your day has peaked or is well on its way to its highest level of peakness. Well, let's talk now about what we're going to be doing in this kitchen today. Today, guys, we're going to be cooking these biscuits. We're going to stuff them full of wonderful ingredients. So it's basically a meal on the go, or you sit down, pour a little syrup on it. It's a meal to sit down at the table with. It's just a meal in and of itself, just that biscuit, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and get over here on the stove and get this going. And while we're on our way over here to the stove to start with our ingredients, go ahead and press that subscribe button down there. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it, okay? Let's get over here on the stove, y'all. What we're doing here is finishing browning up the sausage that I'm using, and I'm using a turkey sausage in my recipe, but you can choose a multitude of meats that you can use to stuff these biscuits with. You may want to use pork sausage. I just happen to like turkey sausage. You can use bacon, you can use venison, any of the other meats that you think would taste good in a breakfast biscuit for you, you feel free to work with that. Okay, so we've just about gotten, we've gotten our meat all browned up and all crumbled and everything. We want to make sure we don't have any big chunks in there, okay? So now what we're going to do is I'm going to turn the eye off under here, and I have my colander waiting right over here because I need to put the meat into something where it's going to drain. So we're going to take it out of here, and then I don't like to use up a lot of dishes when I'm cooking, so I'm just going to put my eggs right into this same pan. Just get all of the turkey meat out, and when we come back, we'll be putting the eggs in. We're getting our eggs together for our biscuits. So in this bowl, as you can see, I have 6 eggs in here, and that's going to be enough for our stuffed biscuits because there are other ingredients that go with these eggs for this biscuit. So I'm just going to get those incorporated right there. Okay. Now, before I put these into that buttered skillet, there's a couple of other things I need to put together. In this bowl right here, this is 1 tablespoon of heavy cream. To that, I'm going to add a tablespoon of this vodka here, because in this recipe, our booze is in the eggs. So I'm just measuring with the same vessel that I measured the milk with. So 1 tablespoon of each, and I'm just gonna move this around a little bit. Just stir that up a little bit so it can be ready for the eggs when it's time. So now let's get the eggs in the skillet. In my skillet over here, I'm melting 2 tablespoons of butter to get ready for my eggs. And I'm just gonna swirl that around a little bit. Make sure the whole bottom of that skillet is coated before I add the eggs. I'm going to turn it down a little bit because when you're scrambling eggs, sometimes your heat is just too high and it makes your eggs almost rubbery, and we don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and add the 6 eggs into this butter. Okay, and we're going to let this go for a minute until it starts to turn creamy, like it's already ready. And we're going to keep stirring it slowly until we get to that point. So now you can see the eggs are starting to set up, or get that creamy texture to them. So now I'm ready to add the heavy cream and vodka mixture to the eggs, and I'm just going to continue to pull them together off the bottom of the pan. And this will give us a creamy egg because it's cooking at a very low temperature. And you can see it's a beautiful, beautiful egg here coming together. And I'm going to turn off this eye short of the eggs getting completely done, because as you know, even as they sit, sort of like pasta, eggs are one of those things that continue to cook. So this is how I want my eggs to look. See that? That's what we want. A creamy, beautiful egg. And that's how I scramble my eggs for breakfast anyway, okay? So we're gonna get these into a plate so that they can cool, because every ingredient of this biscuit has to be completely cooled before you can start to stuff your biscuits. What I'm doing here is sauteing up a few onions that's going into the stuffing of that biscuit. And I kind of diced them, it's kind of small. You don't need to put them in a food processor because you want that dice on the onions. And I'm charring them up a little bit to try to get any kind of water out of them. And somebody's probably saying, well, why you didn't saute the onions up with the eggs or with the sausage? Well, I didn't want any chance of them holding on to any liquid. So that's why I do mine separately from the mixture. But they're just about pretty much dried out and have a little char on them. So now I can go ahead and let them cool also as I get the rest of the ingredients in the bowl. So we have everything that we have cooked in this bowl. I have not mixed any of them together yet. I just have them in the same bowl cooling. We have this is 1 pound of sausage that we brown and crumble there. This right here is a half cup of white onions that we sauteed to get some of the water out. And this is 6 eggs that we've scrambled with the vodka and heavy cream mixture. And this right here is about a 1/4 cup of scallions. Only thing I'm gonna put in here now is some seasonings, and then we'll wait a while for the final ingredient. A little salt, okay? I'm gonna sprinkle a little pepper, and that's just to your taste, okay? Now, what I want to put in here is a little bit of this is everything bagel, okay? I want just a little bit of this in there, and that's gonna be a couple of shakes, not even a 1/4 of a teaspoon. But yeah, I'd say about a 1/2 teaspoon of everything bagel here. And you know, I know I love me some curry, so I'm gonna go ahead and put just a tip of a teaspoon, just a little bit of shake in there. That would have not even been a 1/4 of a teaspoon, less than that. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of, this is celery seeds. I only have a little bit in there, but I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there, just a little bit. And I'm gonna just mix these together. And these are gonna stay in here until they're completely cool before we add the final ingredient. And there is no liquid in this bowl. See, no liquid is there. This is all very dry, and you need it to be very dry for when you put it into that biscuit, so that you won't have a soggy biscuit. That won't be very pretty. So we're gonna leave this here till it cools, because we have to add cheese to this mixture, but everything needs to be drying like that, and we don't need the cheese in the warm mixture to make it all clumpy, okay? So I'm gonna let this cool for about an hour. We are about an hour later, or a little bit more, in letting this mixture cool, but it needs to be completely cool to the touch there. And you know that you can make this mixture at night and let it cool overnight in the refrigerator. It's just no time limit on its cooling, just as long as it's cool. So now what I'm adding to my mixture. The last ingredient is some shredded cheese. And this is a little bit of sharp cheddar, and I think there's a little bit of oh Lord, mozzarella. My mind just get on this cooking. I be getting all what to say. Okay, so there our mixture is, and it's looking like this at this point. Okay. So now, what I'm gonna do, I like to anytime that I'm putting something, measuring something out, and I want it all to be equal, I kind of score it before I start to take it out. So I know that I have 8 biscuits. So basically, I'm just gonna kind of eyeball a score across here and a score across here. So I know that gives me 4, and then each of these 4 is gonna give me 2 biscuits. And so now we're gonna go ahead and get our biscuits rolled out, stuffed, and in the oven so we can get to eating. Okay? Okay, we've got our counter super cleaned off here and everything, because I like to roll directly onto my counter. So I'm gonna go ahead and toss a little flour down here so my biscuits won't stick to my counter. Now, these are my biscuits I've already opened over here. The type of biscuits I prefer to use, I hope this camera will focus on this, is the butter tasting biscuits. Can we see that? Hopefully so. So that's the butter tasting, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and start getting them rolled out. I roll them out by 2s. I try to do 2 at a time, okay? So get this rolled out and put a little flour on my pan too. And only use the amount of flour, you know, that you need to get them rolled out there. All right. Okay, we'll get this one rolled out the same. So you got a little stickiness going on because the butter tasting has a little flakes of butter in it, so it may, you know, stick a little bit more, but it's okay. Get it out here, and that's actually pretty good. And this one. This one rolled out a little bit more here, and then we'll get the stuffing. Okay, so I am using a pretty large cookie sheet here that I'll be putting them on. Okay, so let's get our mixture in there. I've scored this, so out of here, this one right here, I'm going to put half of it here. And I'm gonna put the other half of what's scored onto here. Okay, so yeah, that's a good amount. Good enough. Now, what we're gonna do is take these biscuits and we're gonna roll them around until we can get them sealed at the bottom. So I hope you can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm just folding it over like so until the bottom is sealed and there's nothing peeking out, and then I just kind of press that there, because you know that's going to cook together. So that's kind of what it looks like at the bottom there. And I'm putting it on an ungreased cookie sheet, and I do not want the sides to be touching, because these don't necessarily need to pull up on each other to rise. I'm starting out like I'm pleating them, but I don't really want to pleat them. I just want to get them all around so that everything is sealed in. See how I did that? I just pulled everything around, and it's easy to work with because your biscuits are cool and the mixture is cool. And I just kind of press it around, give it that biscuit shape that I want it to have. And so it looks like that on the top, and it looks like this on the bottom as I put it onto my ungreased cookie sheet. And so far I have these two sitting like this because I need them not to touch so they can brown all the way around. I'm going to continue to do these other 6 biscuits, and then we'll be back before we place them in the oven. I wanted to make sure that you had a good view of how I was putting these biscuits, folding them over. It's kind of like a second thought. I want to make sure that I've covered all ground with this. So again, I'm pressing them down over here. That one feels a little sticky. So, and then I'm rolling out. That's good enough. And I'm going to get this one the same way. Okay, let's get this mixture in. I'm down to the last of them. I'm going to get this mixture right here in the center. A little more here. Now watch that. I'm just going to pull this over, and I'm basically just pulling it, just pulling it. If you don't have nails into that the dough, then you don't have to worry about tearing your dough. But we want to make sure that everything is enclosed, and so I look to make sure there's nothing peeking out. I'm gonna pull this over last, and then when you see I press down on the bottom a little bit, and then I come around the top, and as I'm shaping, I'm pressing down to make sure that that bottom right there is sealed. Okay, so this goes on my cookie sheet, and then I'll do this last one, and we'll be ready for the last process here. So our biscuits are pretty much together there. So now what I want to do is brush the top of each biscuit, and as I brush, I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of everything bagel on there. So I'm going to go ahead and brush them all first. Yep, that's a little easier. And my oven is already warming at 350, and these are going to go in the oven for roughly 15 to 17 minutes, not much more. Follow the directions on the biscuit packet there, because basically everything in these biscuits is already cooked. It's just they need to come together with that cheese, and the scallions were put in there raw also. So I'm just gonna do this on top, and we're gonna go ahead and get these in the oven. They're pretty already. I like pretty food. Okay, and here they are, Shelia's beautifully stuffed breakfast vodka biscuits. It's a little hot there, but enjoy. Alright y'all, we back and we got it done. We stuffed that biscuit with that wonderful sausage and eggs, and the eggs had vodka in it, so that's a recipe in and of itself, how to put a little booze in your breakfast egg if you want to. But we got it all done there, and put our cheese in there and all our different little seasons, and honey, bake that biscuit and put that little everything bagel on it. Y'all, and I I got mine right here, and I just drizzle a little bit of this Sting's cane syrup on mine. But of course, my son chose to eat his with a little bit of jelly. Somebody else might want to pour a little bit of pancake syrup on there. Honey, your possibilities are endless with this particular biscuit, because we have even stuffed them with shredded barbecue and a little bit of cheese. We've stuffed that in here. We've alternated the sausage for bacon, or you can just use eggs inside the biscuit. Whatever you choose to do. But I also hope you choose to go ahead and hit that subscribe button over there, because we're doing it in here, honey. This Boozin food is not playing. It is ready. So I want you all to please give this recipe a try. Make sure you keep it boozing. Whip that booze in your eggs, and baby, just like this apron says, Ashley said, keeping it boozing. And baby, I'm loving every bit of it, because you know it's always going to be boozing in this good kitchen. But I want to thank you all for joining me. Remember, catch up with me on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Greatly appreciate you all. Right now, you know what I'm about to do. I'm about to appreciate this biscuit. Maybe give me a little syrup on it right there. Mm.